Well, good afternoon, First Baptist Church. Welcome to the Monday blog. We've been working our way through the book of Haggai. And today we're going to start in chapter 1, verse 12 of Haggai. We're going to see this response to what God is calling through the voice of Haggai to the Israelite people who have come back to Jerusalem. And so what we start to see here as I share my screen is that it was about 23 days. And how do I get that, right? Verse 15, it says, on the 24th day of the month, in the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king. This same thing is in chapter 1, verse 1, where we see that it was in the 1st day of the 6th month. So 23 days after Haggai tells them what God wants them to hear, after he tells them about the sins that they're relying on their own understanding, their own flesh, their own things in this world, and not focusing on this house of the Lord and building up him, they respond, right? It starts with the leaders, Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, who is the governor. It starts with Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. And then from them, it pours out to the rest of the remnant of people. And this word remnant is so important. We see it often in the Bible, and it's just this gathering or this group of people who have decided that they are going to follow the Lord. They're still leaning into the Lord and not into their own understandings. And it goes on, it says that they obeyed. At this moment, right, they weren't obeying. They were straying from the Lord. They were complacent in that, but now they're obeying the voice of the Lord their God. In the words of the Haggai, the prophet. So it puts the Lord their God first. Haggai is just telling them what the Lord their God wants him to say. And as the Lord their God has sent Haggai, he's telling him, all right, say this. And then the people did something amazing. They feared the Lord. Before they weren't even thinking about the Lord. They weren't focused on the Lord, but now they fear the Lord in a good way. They have this respect, this surrender for him. And what happens when we have a respect and a surrender to the Lord? Well, it says right here, the messenger of the Lord said that the Lord, I am with you, declares the Lord. Right? God is with us. When we are obedient, when we're surrendered to him, we can start to feel and understand what he's doing. And that involves this spirit that he gives every believer nowadays. Now, in the Old Testament, they didn't have the spirit quite like we do today. It came and it went, right? But here we start to see that this is an important time in the history of the Bible, in the history of Jesus, in the history of what we know as not only Judaism, but Christianity. And we see that Zerubbabel has the spirit, right? Something is moving inside of his spirit, whether it's the spirit of the Lord moving in him or if it's his own spirit being inspired by God's spirit outside of him. I don't know, but we're seeing this aspect of the spirit of Zerubbabel and the spirit of Joshua, right? This high priest. And not only that, it's the spirit of all the remnant of the people. So at this moment, God's spirit or God's spirit is moving in these people. The spirit, the third person of the Trinity is moving in them. And what happens is they come and they work on the house of the Lord of hosts. So something happens when the Spirit is moving inside of us. Something happens inside of us. And that's how we know that we're living for Christ, right? Is the Spirit moving inside of you? Is something telling you that you should obey the Lord and that you should do what he's asked you to do? And not only that, it should give us a passion to do what God has asked us to do. The Spirit of the Lord is an incredible factor in living out this Christian life. And if we're going to live it out the way God wants us to live it out, we need to be in tune with what the Spirit is telling us and recognize our sin and turn towards the Lord and have this desire to be with God and to build his house. And that may look like in your own life where you're growing and drawing closer to God. That may look like where you go to other people and share who Jesus is. But anyways, you're building this house. And so one day when God comes back, when Jesus returns, there will be a kingdom set up and Jesus will be king. And that's the house that we're truly trying to build. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful day.